Alright guys, welcome back to another MCreator procedure tutorial. So today what we're going to be looking at is the place NBT structure file and try to place feature. So these are two blocks that can be found under world procedures, actions, and then the first one, the NBT structure, is found at the top here where it says place NBT structure. It will have no entry selected unless you have one selected or made in your workspace, so make sure to make your structure first. And the other one is a little bit further down. It's towards the bottom. It's called try to place feature, no entry selected. This one actually does have the vanilla place features, so the features that are found in the vanilla one. So you can add vanilla features if you want as well. So these both have the X, Y, and Z blocks, so you can offset the position. You can also use static numbers like this to spawn them at a specific location if you want to. This also works on triggers that only support the world dependency. So basically when a world is loaded or something, you can spawn it at a specific location. So that's helpful. You can also offset the coordinates like I did up here. This is also very useful when you're working with positions that might need to be offsetted. Like for this one, I have a structure that's supposed to spawn above the terrain level, so I offsetted the Y position for that when I right-click on the, or left-click on the block. I'll go into the global variable in just a second. It's just a for temp testing period, but I thought it would basically show what could be done with it. And the place feature, you just double-click that and you get the list of vanilla features that you have here. Now the file for the NBT structure, again, will only show the ones that you have in your workspace, so that one is there. We also have a couple other properties on the structure NBT one. We have rotation, so you have clockwise, counterclockwise, and clockwise 180. So the other two are 90 degrees, and then you also have an option for random. So this will rotate it based on the design of the structure. So basically, if you build your structure facing north, then it will rotate based on that. We also have mirroring. So basically, this one will kind of reflect on the rotation of the structure. So, and the way that it's actually been designed. So for example, if you have it facing north, then you rotate it maybe 90 degrees and then flip it, then it will be facing north but also flipped on a specific direction. So in this case, this front and back one is on the x-axis by default. This will rotate on the z-axis if you have it 90 degrees though. So if your structure is facing north, that is. So, and the left one would do the other direction. So flip it directs the other direction around. You can also select random here as well. So we're going to play around with this and just kind of show you what's going on. So I have this global trigger, which is a logic variable. I'm just basically saying for the player, is the player have this variable set to true? If they do have it true, then we're spawning a structure and setting it to false. So just to show you what it would look like, I just have a NBT global variable for the player. It's persistent, so if the player dies, they can't spawn a new house. And basically it's just set to true by default, and it's a logic variable. So that's basically all that we need to see from here. So let's go into world and we'll take a look at the default location when we have both of these set to none, and we'll just take some notes for that first. So both of these blocks are on server side. We can tell by the icon that is at the end of the name. So we have this one right here and that one right there. Those are server icons. So these will only run on server side, not client side. So which makes sense, because if you were trying to run it on client side, it would only spawn for that player, and that's not going to work for world updates like blocks and structures. So it needs to be on server side when you're using these things. All right, so we're in game and we're going to just find generally a flat area to place this. So we're going to right click on the block here, or pardon me, left click, and you can see that it spawns the structure for the MBT. So this one is facing north direction for our direction here. We can also see the bed is on the left hand side, so when you walk in the door. So if we want to rotate this, there's also some items and stuff like that located in the chest and stuff like that. I designed it that way. So if we want to rotate it like clockwise, so clockwise is going to be towards the right here. So this would be clockwise. We would rotate it to this direction. And if we wanted to do counterclockwise, we would do it to the left. So this way would be counterclockwise, and 180 would be towards the south. So if we flip it, like mirror the X and Z location, what's going to happen is the X and Z, which is the front and back right now with it currently set up, would be facing, the bed would be on this side and the furnace would be on that side. And if we were to do the front and back, then it would basically mirror the direction basically to 180, but it would keep the bed and everything on the same side. So let's go ahead and just test the mirroring first, and then I'll kind of go into the rotation part. So let's go back into MCreator and do that. Okay, so remember our bed was, when we walked in the door, it was on our left side, right? So let's go ahead and flip that for the front and back. And this will vary depending on the rotation of the building as well. It's not always going to be on the X and Z axis. If you build facing north or south, it will be, but if your structure is on the east or west, then it will actually be flipping it around front and back. So it's a little bit different. It's just the way that the game has the variables basically set up. I asked Clement about that, and it's a little bit confusing, but that's a Mojang issue. It's nothing that really the MCreator really needs to change. So yeah, and then we'll go into the left and right after this test. So I'm just going to set that, and then we'll go and change it into, or start a new game, and then basically give this a test. All right, so we're in a new game, and we're just going to go over to the same spot that we had it before. I think over here was where we generally had it. So we'll break that, and we can see that it's spawned. So it's currently facing the same direction, north. We can see that just under the, on the left-hand side, it says basically facing north, and that shows us our direction. So we can tell the door's facing the same direction here. And the bed is now on the right side. So it's basically mirrored the direction from the side here. And then it's basically flipped everything around to the other side. So you can see the chest is on the side, same items and everything. So that's basically how that part works. Let's go ahead and now do the X and Z one, or the, I guess it's the left and right. So let's go ahead and just change that to the other setting. And we'll do left and right for this one, save, and then pop in a new world. All right, so we'll go over here again, and we'll go ahead and break this block. And we can see that the door is on the other side now. Now this was facing north, so this is where it was facing before. And now if we go over here, we can see that the direction is now south. If we look at the bed, it is on the right-hand side. So basically before it was on the left-hand side because it was on this side here. So we had our bed right here. So what would have been flipped is everything just basically got flipped the other direction. So that means that some things like the bed in this angle here was also flipped to the same side as what it was before, just basically making it the alternate direction, if that kind of makes sense. So let's go ahead and see what it does now with rotation. So we'll just do a simple rotate with clockwise. And we'll go back to the front and back just to kind of make it a little bit easier to understand. We'll go clockwise, 90 degrees. And before we do that, we're not going to mirror it first, because I think it'll be important to see what the actual clockwise looks like on its own. So let's go ahead and save that, and then we'll go ahead and create a new world like we've been doing and give it a test. All right, so let's go back over here, and we're going to be rotating it clockwise. So basically, if you look at your perspective of your character, clockwise is always going to be to your right, counterclockwise is to the left, 180 is a 360 or complete rotation towards the back of you. So in this case, it was facing north, so it should turn to the east. So let's break a block, and we can see that it turned to the east. If we open up here, it says east. So that was to our right. So again, the bed is on the left-hand side. It's basically just rotated the structure from over here to basically facing this way. The bed was on the left-hand side, remember? So it was right over on this side. We had our furnace here and our bed there. So if we look over here, our bed is like this, and our furnace is here now. So it's just rotated it directly 90 degrees clockwise. Counterclockwise would do the same, going the other direction, and 180 would just rotate it the other direction over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and change it up one more time. We'll do the mirror with the front and back, because this should rotate the front and back for the X and Z location. So it's a little bit different than what you would expect. So let's go ahead and save this and test one more time. All right, so it should be facing east, and the bed should be on the opposite side now. So if we break this block, you might also notice that the position of where the structure is spawning is a little bit different. So this is normal behavior for structures in Minecraft. The axis is actually going to be rotating around the structure. So the axis, is, when you save the structure, is always in the bottom northwest corner. So you can see where the axis is in the center of the screen here. That's where the corner of the structure will be by default. This actually rotates the structure around, or the axis, for when you're doing these rotations and stuff. So it can be problematic if you're trying to get the structure to be center with a certain thing. Just keep that in mind. If you're going to need it more specific to keep the axis point, then I would suggest saving multiple variations of the structure and then spawning just the structure without mirroring and stuff like that. So as we can see, before the bed was on the left-hand side, and now we have it on the right-hand side, and it's still facing east. So we can see that it's facing east now. So that's basically that one. And we're going to do one more test, but this time is going to be just with a feature. So we're going to just remove that, and we're going to just spawn maybe like a oak tree. So we'll do that one, and we'll put it one block above where we break, just to make it a little bit easier. Well, we can do it at low level. It doesn't really matter too much. So let's go ahead and save that, and then we'll pop into game. All right, so let's go ahead and break this block here, and we can see that a oak tree is spawned. This is normal when you're working with biomes that should be in that thing. I think there might be some conditions on some of the biomes that might not spawn. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe they will spawn anywhere. Oak trees do spawn in those biomes, so I don't know if there's like a nether. Maybe we can try the nether. So let's go ahead and do /execute in nether, and then run TP. This is probably going to stick us in the ground somewhere. Yep, probably. Oh, well, yeah, I guess it spawns in the nether as well. So we can place down a tree and it will spawn, I guess. So yeah, so that's basically the place feature. It's just going to basically place a feature rather than a structure. So it might not always do that based on the conditions. Like for example, if there's not enough room. Okay, that's actually working. So let's try it on a little bit steeper cliff. We can see that it didn't spawn because there wasn't enough room to spawn the tree. So that's built into the feature itself. But once there's enough room to spawn the leaves, it will place. So there are certain conditions that might be required to actually spawn a structure of a certain type. Those are preserved with the features thing probably. So other than that, if you are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, comment down below, rate the video, and if you want a place to hang out with other MCreator users and share your ideas, your artwork, and your projects, there is a Discord server that I have, and you can join, and there's close to like 500, just over 500 members that are active on it, so definitely consider joining if you're interested, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace out.